Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today I'm going to be doing my Houston Texans season preview and predictions. We are going to be going over what this Houston Texans team looks like right now going into Week 1. I'm going to go over, what the roster looks like, this depth chart for the Texans, and then also my predictions for this Texans team. Let's get into it. All right, Texans start tomorrow at 3:25 against the Los Angeles Rams, and it's going to be a fun season for this Houston Texans team. I get great vibes from this team. I am worried about Christian Kirk being injured, of course. I don't think, I think everybody should be worried about that. And, the Joe Mixon injury is concerning, but as long as both of those guys are back, soon, I think the goal would be to get Joe Mixon back in the area of Week 5 to Week 8 and Christian Kirk back by Week 2 or Week 3. And if that can happen, I feel good. I feel positive about this Houston Texans team and what they can do this year. I feel like the Texans this year have a chance to potentially have the best record they've had in the D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud era. 2 10-win seasons. That's great. I'm proud of that. But I think the Texans should shoot for more this year. Try to get 11 or 12 wins. I doubt the Texans get 12, but I think getting another, it's very possible the Texans could get another 10-win season. But I am confident the Texans could potentially shoot for 11 wins this year. All right, I'm actually going to start off with going over game by game, not predictions, but just who the Texans play throughout the year. So here's just kind of the rundown of the schedule if you didn't know. Texans play the Rams Week 1 in Los Angeles, 3:25. It's on CBS tomorrow. I'm just learning that game is on CBS tomorrow. I thought it was on Fox, but CBS. Then the Texans play Monday Night Football in Week 2. Against the Bucs at home. That should be a great game with what we saw in C.J. Stroud's rookie year against the Bucs. Then the Texans go the next week in Week 3. First time playing in the 12 o'clock window in Jacksonville. Should be a fun matchup. I love the Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud matchups we got to see in C.J. Stroud's rookie year. Weren't as promising last year, but I hope they are again this year because the Jags definitely seem improved. Then the Tennessee Titans at home against the Titans. Against the Titans at 12 o'clock on CBS. Then another 12 o'clock game on CBS. The Texans travel to Baltimore. Now, this is a great time for the bye week with the Texans' struggles against the Ravens in the past. This is an absolute great time for the bye week, and that is bye week. The bye week is Week 6. Then the Texans go to play Week 7 Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. Then they are at home against the 49ers, and they're at home against the Broncos for Week 9, at home against the Jaguars Week 10. That's a 3-game homestand. Then they go to Tennessee for Week 11, Thursday Night Football in a short week against the Buffalo Bills. Then Week 13 against the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. Then Week 14 in Kansas City. And Week 15 at home against Arizona on Fox. Then the next week is against Las Vegas at home at 3:25. Then the last 2 weeks are actually undetermined. These could be flex games. You've got the Chargers and the Colts. I'm sure that Colts game will not be a flex game, but that Chargers-Texans game in Week 17 wouldn't surprise me if that could be a Saturday game if if the NFL does like a triple header for Saturday. At the end of the season like they always do. That could be a Saturday game for the Houston Texans. All right, I'm going to get into predictions I'm going to go game-by-game predictions now. I've got the Texans actually losing Week 1 against the Rams. I think it's a hard matchup on the road. Good team, shorthanded. But I think the Texans keep it extremely close, and they very well are possible winning this game. I've got the Texans bouncing back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to improve to 1-1. Then the Texans also beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville to improve to 2-1. Then beating the Tennessee Titans at home, which is something they didn't do last year, to improve to 3-1. Then I've actually, this might surprise some people. I've got the Texans beating the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not fully confident when I say this, because the Texans struggles, but I feel like C.J. Stroud is so due to win a game against this team. They are 100% due to beat this Ravens team. If you ask me if this year the Texans and Ravens, play each other in the playoffs, do the Texans win? I will tell you, if it's in Baltimore, the Texans lose. But if they win, if they win, it's going to be in Houston. But I think a regular season game with the Texans' defense being a little bit improved this year, it's definitely possible they could beat Baltimore. With C.J. Stroud and the Texans' continued failure against the Ravens, I know C.J. Stroud's going to be determined to win this game and go get a W. So yeah, I've got them winning that game and improving to 4-1. As crazy as it seems. Then, 4-1. Then I've actually got the Texans also beating the Seattle Seahawks Monday Night Football. That would prove them to 5-1. Now, Texans fans, I actually don't have the Houston Texans doing too well at their 3-game homestand. We got the Texans losing against the 49ers to take them to 5-2, beating the Broncos to make them 6-2, then losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars to make them 6-3. Then I have the Texans beating the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee to make their record 7-3, and continue the Texans' good success. I have the Texans beating the Buffalo Bills at home Thursday Night Football. This Houston Texans team made Josh Allen look like a scrub last year. I mean, this Texans defense makes, quarterbacks who are really good look like absolute bums. I'm sorry to say it. They made Justin Herbert look like Nathan Peterman last year in last season's playoffs. That's what they do to QBs. And so we saw what the Texans defense did to Josh Allen last year. And if you ask me, this Texans defense has actually improved this past year. So I'm going with the Texans beating the Bills to improve to 8-3. Then I've got the Texans beating the Indianapolis Colts on the road to improve to 9-3. But I've got the Texans losing to the Kansas City Chiefs to make their record 9-4. Then beating the Arizona Cardinals to make their record 10-4. But I've got the Texans losing to the Las Vegas Raiders to make their record 10-5. And also going to SoFi to place the Chargers. I've got the Texans losing to the Chargers to make their record 10-6. And Justin Herbert getting revenge on the Texans. And, I've got the Texans in week 18 beating the Indianapolis Colts in week 18 at home to improve their record to 11-6. So I know I have the Texans winning some impossible games against the Ravens and the Bills, which don't seem that impossible when you look at the Texans' good history against Josh Allen. But at the same time, I've also had them losing some games that they should win, like at home against Jacksonville and at home against against Las Vegas. The Texans at times lose games that they shouldn't lose. Like last year against the Tennessee Titans, they do that. We've seen that how many times? Another great example: the Houston Texans in 2019 hosted a terrible Denver Broncos team. The Texans last year, 2019, I'll never forget. Beat the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football against Tom Brady, one of the best teams in the AFC. Made a huge statement when next week they play one of the worst teams in the AFC, the Denver Broncos, and they lose. That's the type of things we see with this Texans team from time to time. No matter who's quarterback or the head coach, they always seem to lose games that they should not lose. And so that's why I've got a couple games in there like the Raiders and the Jaguars that they should win, but they don't. And we see a lot of games, the Texans actually, where they shouldn't win, but they do. And that's what the Texans do from time to time. And that's why I've got the Texans beating the Bills and the Ravens and losing to the Raiders and the Jacks. But you guys let me know your thoughts on my Houston Texans record predictions and the preview for the season. Remember, if you want to know some stuff, remember Joe Mixon is not going to at least be out there for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, or at least the first 4 weeks of the season, but it seems like he could be out the first 5 weeks of the season. Right now, Christian Kirk is out week 1, could miss the first 2 weeks of the season. The Texans have those injuries right now. And so, but that's really all the preview for right now for the Houston Texans. But I'm so excited for the Texans season to start tomorrow. You guys let me know your thoughts on the Texans season starting tomorrow in the comment section, and peace out. Go Texans.